Good to be back with you again virtually, and it seems like maybe we're getting a little bit closer to getting to be together again in person. All right, so last week we saw a lot of fleshly fights in Jacob's family, but at the end of all these fights, we saw Jacob starting to change a little bit and show that his faith was growing. He finally made peace with Laban and hit the road to return to his homeland and hopefully be reconciled with his brother Esau. Now, we might think that he's done fighting, but Jacob actually has his biggest fight ahead of him this week, and it might just be the most epic wrestling match in the whole Bible. Also this week, we are going to talk about how Jacob is like the main character from the movie Kung Fu Panda, Po. Now, this doesn't look exactly like Po, but gives you the idea. So, for those of you who haven't seen it or who need a refresher, the movie Kung Fu Panda is about a lazy, plump little panda, Po, who loves to eat, but secretly dreams of becoming a Kung Fu warrior. And he is surprisingly chosen through a prophecy as someone that is going to defend his city, the Valley of Peace, from an evil leopard. Now, first, it may seem like he is not the best candidate for this, but the prophecy says he's going to be the one. So he links up with a little red panda who's a master kung fu teacher, and his name is Master Shifu. And he starts to undergo a lot of changes. Similarly, we've seen Jacob undergoing a lot of changes, and we started to see some of those last week. This week, we're really going to see how much he's changed. So we can open up and turn to chapter 32 in Genesis, and you can read verses 1 through 5. And I want you to think about the ways that he has changed, especially in how he views himself and how he views his brother Esau. Okay, so you can go ahead and pause the video. All right, so what did you notice? He seems a lot humbler, doesn't he? He refers to his brother Esau as master or lord, and refers to himself as servant. And he also understands that he's not entitled to anything, but he says, if I find grace in my brother's sight. So has a much different view of himself and his brother, and he's not just trying to take things from him. So we see Jacob's changed, but has Esau changed? Well, when the messenger comes back, he has some kind of surprising news. He says that Esau is also on his way to meet Jacob, but he has 400 men with him. So this isn't looking super promising. Looks like Esau might still be itching for a fight. Now that Jacob is under a little bit more pressure, we'll see if he really has changed or if it's just his words. So let's see how he responds, and you can pause the video again and read chapter 32, verses 9 through 12. Okay, so we see finally Jacob lifts his hands in prayer rather than trying to take things into his own hands. And this prayer is also a lot different than the prayer we saw at the beginning of last week when he was on his way out to Laban. Then he had a conditional faith. He believed in God only so far. He wasn't totally secure in God's word and promises to him. He said, well, if you do this for me, God, then you'll be my God. But here, it's a lot different. What did you notice about this prayer? Maybe take a second to look back at it. Okay, so he starts by affirming who God is, that he is the living God of his father and his father's father. And then he repeats back God's promises to him, showing that he has faith that God will stay true to his word. And then he honestly shares his fears and requests deliverance, asks for help, because he knows that it's God's plans, not his tiny hands, that will deliver him. And he already saw that happen back with all the fiascos with Laban. It was God and his hand and all of that delivered Jacob safely away. So we see he is being more prayerful, more humble, and he is also more giving. Rather than using his craftiness to try and take things, now he's going to use his cleverness to think of Esau and prepare a wonderful gift for him. Now you might think you've gotten some good gifts in your life, but this one is hard to top. Now pay attention and see if you can add up in your head how many total animals he is giving to Esau. So he gives him 200 female goats, 200 male goats, 200 ewes, which are like sheep, 20 rams, 30 dairy camels, haven't seen one of those, but I bet they're pretty cool, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, almost there, let's see, 10 foals, I think I might have given it away, but that is 730 total animals. Think about how huge that would have been, and think about how noisy that would have been too. All sorts of different things happening. All right. So, clearly Jacob is not trying to cling to things anymore, but he trusts God to provide and sees the most important thing is to continue his relationship with Esau. He clearly loves Esau much more than he did before. Okay, so we see that he has changed a lot, but he is now about to face his biggest challenger in a very mysterious and interesting wrestling match that lasts all night long. So you guys can go ahead, turn to chapter 32, verses 24 through 32, and see how this plays out. See if Jacob is really ready for this and what's going to happen to him. Okay, so you might be a little bit confused about this passage. There's a lot of mystery in it. It kind of talks about his opponent as a man and maybe an angel, and then in the end it says God. So who is it? And if it is God, why is God wrestling with him? Now, we're going to pause the story of Jacob and go back to Kung Fu Panda, Po, to help understand a little bit more maybe what's going on. So think about Master Shifu. When he is training Po and he's fighting him and he's throwing all these crazy challenges at him, is he trying to defeat him? to destroy him, or is he trying to make him stronger? Trying to make him into the best kung fu warrior he can be? That's right, he's trying to make him stronger. Trying to help him reach his fullest potential so that he can fulfill the prophecy. Now, some of the challenges he gives Po may seem frustrating and pointless and strange, but he has a purpose with them. And the best masters know their pupils inside and out. They know just the right way to challenge them without breaking them, and they know exactly what they're motivated by and how to work in their hearts as well as their bodies. Okay, so we'll go back to Jacob. So this battle really helps to cast light on all that Jacob's been through in his life so far. We haven't always been able to see where God was in the picture, how or why he was acting, but we do know that he was there. And while sometimes it may have seemed like God was fighting against him, God was also fighting for him. It's almost like he was pushing against him with one hand, but pushing harder for him with the other, wanting to support him and make him the best he could be, rather than trying to just crush him down. Every task and challenge that was thrown towards Jacob was in some way transforming him, just like every challenge that was thrown at Po was transforming him, making him more prepared to live into his role. Okay, and now how was Jacob transformed in this? There's pretty radical change. Maybe you can go back and look for a second. Okay, so Jacob the deceiver is now Israel, and Israel means prince with God. So that is a pretty big change that he went through. And he is now much more prepared to live into that role. Where he is now makes a lot more sense, that he will be the great patriarch of the family of God, the giant diverse family of God, because he has grown and changed so much. Okay, so just like through Master Shifu, Po became a kung fu warrior. Jacob, through the training of God, has now become the prince with God. And God still works the same way in our lives today. There's a lot of times we might not know exactly where he is, how he's acting, why these challenges are coming our way, but we can trust that God, the greatest master, knows us inside and out and is using everything to transform us into the people that he wants us to be, into our greatest potential, the Kung Fu warrior, or whatever that may be. So a little reminder of a lesson that we had earlier, but which really comes back, is, let's see, oh, not upside down. God is a name changer and a game changer. So next time you feel like you're up against something that just doesn't make any sense, seems like it's too hard, think of Po and the unlikely warrior that he was. Think of Jacob and the unlikely great patriarch that he was, but how God works through that to transform. And next week we will see how this transformed Israel will interact with his brother Esau. All right, thanks for paying attention again, guys. Maybe you feel like going to see the movie Kung Fu Panda. Whatever you do, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll look forward to the day when we are together. All right, bye-bye.